Hey y'all, welcome to How I Became Your Mother. I'm Kalila Black, your host, and this is my personal podcast where I slit open my heart and share my life with my future baby, who I'm manifesting through this podcast, leading up to how they have come into existence. So join the party, listen, and send really good vibes as we create and attract the life of our dreams together. I thought that this concept would be really cool. So boom. All right, so update. What's going on with me? For all of you all who have been listening, you know that it's been a while since I dropped an episode, and that's because I have been in Toronto. I was working full time with The Lion King, 8 shows a week, learning a new show, having a very unique experience with the show, something I've never experienced before, while also I simultaneously booked a gig with Dr. Seuss, and I had to film that, shoot that. Also full-time caregiving, managing the home, my place, and mommy. So it was a really big thing, and this fell by the wayside, but I'm committed. I'm back like I never left, and I'm even more invigorated about this because I've added a new section. So this whole time I've been trying to figure out how I wanted to like ease in talking about dating, because I'm like, okay, obviously we have to talk about your father. If I'm talking to you, how I became your mother is nothing without a father, right? I can't be a mother without a father. So I was like, you guys probably want to be in on that as well. I'm tucking my hair behind my ears right now. Feel that. So I was like, all right, let me just come up with a little section at the top of the episode just so we check in with Bae. And it is talking about your father. So in this week's Your Father section, where am I right now? It might be a little longer because I am sharing more context this round because I haven't said anything. So just bear with me. So where are you right now, Kalila, with dating, speaking to my baby? Where's your father? Have I met him? What's going on? So I've not met your father yet, not yet, but I am working with a dating coach. Shout out to my coach, Tora Sense. She is a phenomenal woman whom I was experiencing success from her teachings, and then decided to hire her as my one-on-one coach. And I decided to hire a dating coach because I noticed that the kinds of men that I was entertaining was not men that I could see myself with long term and building a family with, and I didn't understand the disconnect. So I was just like, I'm a person that really believes in investing in personal growth. I will buy a course, I will do a program, I will read a book. I really believe in education and, research and all of that and information, and it's changed my life. So with me knowing that I want to have a very specific kind of love, I want to feel equally yoked. I want to have a person that's equally ambitious, that I'm as attracted to, that I want to build legacy with, that is equally yoked, and I also want to be in love with them. And so I felt like I was having a hard time finding that, all of those things. And so I decided to hire my coach. So I'm dating. I just had a wonderful FaceTime with a gentleman this past weekend, and he was actually one of the first guys that I've talked to that I personally felt like was aesthetically a little bit out of my league, which sounds so interesting saying that out loud, because I've had to come to terms with that I didn't realize I even thought that people were out of my league. But that's where I am now. We had a great date. It was fun. I just got off the phone with my coach, and we had a conversation around these next steps this week. And we came to a realization that my current dating lifestyle is not necessarily exposing me to the person that I know your father is. So that's what we're working on this week. And I, that's what I do, like in terms of physical work. I have, real life actions that I have to do. But in terms of energetic work, I do a lot of visualization. I did a little role playing with ChatGPT. And I feel really grounded in my partner and in your father. I already feel him energetically. So there's no doubt in my mind that my soulmate, who is an attractive, ambitious, successful, empathetic, heart-driven, really, really brilliant, wealthy man, is there, and I can feel him. So that's where I'm at in terms of your father. And I do want to say that working with her has opened my mind, because she believes that dating is personal development. So her philosophy around dating is that you should always be dating. You should always be interacting with love and in that space. Like, it's not like, oh, you date and then you put yourself, you date, then you have a breakup, and then you spend time to yourself, because she believes that it's a skill, dating, especially interacting with the opposite sex and just all these rules and through life. It's a skill, and it's something that can always enrich your life. And she believes that when you date, you become a better woman if you're doing it correctly. And I have to say that that is true. And I'll share a little tidbit very, very briefly, around what her practice is, because since she talks about dating and personal development, sometimes you'll see the areas of evolution in different places in your life. It might not be directly related to dating. So I had a very, very interesting evolution that happened recently around dating because of her work with her. So I'll just say this real briefly, that I've been with The Lion King for 10 years, off and on. Probably cumulatively less than 5 years, if we're being honest, because I spent a lot of time. I would say less than 4. Yeah, probably like 4 years, because I'll go there for a couple months and leave. But I say it spans 10 years, which spans 10 years of my development. And I am noticing through my dating coach, that I have a very interesting relationship as it pertains to men platonically. So like, I have a lot of gay friends, male friends, who I have close relationships with. And I think that's because I understand where the boundaries are. We all know, like, you don't see it for me, I don't see it for you like that. But as it pertains to platonic men, not me hitting a thing, straight men, I would have a hard time I didn't know how to have a friendship and how to connect with a man that I didn't want anything from. So like, this was clear in the show, in my show, because like, I would be in The Lion King and I don't really have close relationships with any of the men in the cast unless they're gay. So like, all of the married men, where there's other people could talk and chat and chill, and like, I just would feel out of place talking to them and being friends with them. So I would just be mad cold. Like, it's just robotic. And I used to feel like that made sense, because it's like, if I don't, why we gotta talk? I could talk to your wife. We don't have nothing to say. But then I realized after working with my coach that that's me kind of objectifying men, because it would be me putting them in a box of like, I don't see any use for connecting with you as a human being if you can't either be my man or my gay homeboy. But like, a straight man, what can we vibe with, right? So I would say that the Broadway dressing room, I'm gonna give you, okay, all right, see, I'm getting hyped. Focus. Okay, so this became so clear for me in the last time with the Lion King, because first of all, before I got to Toronto, I was very clear on wanting to step outside of my comfort zone and do new things, because as it pertains to men. And I thought that this would be a perfect time because it's a brand new cast. They don't know me. They don't know nothing. And so, like, I'll say the difference. Like, oh, and one other thing is that I was researching astrocartography, which is learning about how different places in the world, how you have different energy, how you get different energy and different vibes, different powers, different strengths from certain places in the world based off of where you were born and your timing and your birth chart. So before I went to Toronto, now I do this before I go anywhere, I was like, okay, so what kind of energy can I expect from Toronto? Because first of all, I love that city. I've been there a bunch of times and I love it. I love Toronto. And so I was like, what can I expect? And it was like, you have a lot of Pluto energy. It's a large place of transformation for you. It's a large place of rebirth and shift. And I was like, oh my God, perfect, lined it up. So when I got here, not only was I determined, when I got to Toronto, not only was I determined to be open, as open as I could with my heart in general when I went to Toronto, whereas most times I join a company, I'm only focused on the gig. Like, me going to work was about the money and my creative, what I can get creatively, personally from the gig. So with Lion King, it's like, you know, being on stage and the makeup, and like I be in a dressing room with my headphones on, you're doing my pre-show ritual, like it, the relationships and the stuff that happened at from work was a result usually from like after work activities or something outside of that. When I was at work before, it's like, you'll see me, I'm gonna laugh, we're gonna have little cues and stuff, but Khalila's either in a book, she has her headphones on, or she's doing like it's giving to herself. So I was like, all right, if you want to be different, you got to be different. I'm like, I said this time, like, I'm gonna be sociable. Like, if they link up during intermission, I'm gonna be sociable. I'm gonna take up the invitations. If I can go somewhere, I'm gonna go. Like, I'm gonna be open. And the other thing I said was, like, as it pertains to the men, I'm gonna treat the men, I'm going to be as open to relationships with platonic men as I can. Like, I'm not going to just act like I don't, like, I would be working around men and act like it's just hello and goodbye. Like, I act like I don't know you, kind of like I don't see you, because it's also like it's a guard up. Like, I don't want you to think I'm thinking, I don't want you to think da 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 da. But this time I was like, listen, just try to learn these people. Just learn them. I'm sure, first of all, I believe that people are good. Like, human beings are good people. So if I fully believe that human beings are good people, and I have maybe 3 or 5 minutes to connect with an individual, if I have the intention of having a good time with that person and connecting, I can do that, because we can talk about so many things. So I was like, okay, be open. So it was so crazy, because this time I joined the Toronto company. I was in the male dressing room, and listen, let me give y'all context, because I don't want y'all to get crazy. There's a culture, there's mad different ways that you can spend time backstage and intermission and just at work as a person that works and does 8 shows a week. You have some people who build in their own personal lives around their schedule. So you got moms who will always call their kids during intermission. You have people who will do PT at certain times in intermission. You have the social butterflies who will chat. You have people who are meeting with different departments. In terms of Lion King, you might have people that visit puppets or makeup during intermission. Everybody has their own kind of like daily fillers. My filler in the past would be, I'm probably reading a book or listening to a podcast in between, and eating. Always eating, and listening to a podcast. So this time I was like, all right, you're going to be open. So just so happened at this time, this group of guys at the Toronto company, shouts out to y'all, they have like a ritual type thing where they get snacks, and they have snacks in their dressing room, and they invite people in. So people be coming in there chilling, eating. And so I was like, Kalila, you got to go in there. They invited you. You got to do it. You got to do it, because why are you not doing it? If I don't do it, the reason I'm not going to do it is because I was feeling like, all right, what they going to think me going in there like you look mad thirsty. And it's like, you're in there for connection, and connection is not dirty unless you make it dirty. And you know what? I'm going to go off on this tangent on the side for this, because I feel like the biggest thing that was making me weirded out before this is because I was feeling shame from feeling attraction and connection with a straight man. So it would be like we're having a conversation and we share something in common, or we laugh or whatever, and it's just like, oh my God, like that feeling where you're like, this is a cool person, and they'd be like, oh my God, you shouldn't be thinking about that, that's somebody's husband, that's somebody, and it'd be like, girl. So while this was happening in Toronto, I'm like, oh, these can be human beings that you enjoy, and you could have moments of connection with them where it feels like, oh my God, he's hot, oh my God, like, and that doesn't mean that you're a bad person, or that you have to put up walls, or that anything has to go anywhere, because you don't even like, it wasn't even like I was exchanging numbers, like chatting. I'm talking about just generally talking. I was having an issue with that, and I was able to connect and chill and chat with multiple people, not have no like weird energy, no shade this time, because I was open, and it felt like I got to a new level of understanding and appreciation for men, because before I was, well, just based off of how I was raised, I just wasn't raised to appreciate the differences of men, in men. And now, with me knowing the type of man that your father is, I get to, along the way, notice how amazing men are. And being around the men of the Toronto cast was truly a great experience. Like, and I mean, I'm trying not to put mad stuff on it, but like, I don't know if like I was experiencing exchanges that were so wholesome exchanges around like, what do you like to do in life, and around their children, around their wives, and around like their dreams. And it was just like, oh, they're people and they're cool. And just because just because I can look at them like, oh my God, you're hot, doesn't mean that I can't look at you like you're also a human being. Because yeah. So that's where I'm at with the father update. I feel very open. I feel very appreciative for men, and he's very close. He's around the corner. So stay tuned for that. Okay. But as we know, this episode is about how cringy things is necessary. Cringe is necessary. And what sparked this episode was a conversation with my friend Natty Cakes, my friend Natalie. Well, actually it was a conversation in my group chat, my Marco Polo group chat, with my fabulous friends that I've had since high school. We're going on 20-something year friendships. And we have a group chat, and I was just talking about cringing, and because this past couple of months with what's been going on in my life, and also knowing in terms of caring for your grandmother, and moving her across the country, and navigating her health things while waiting for other resources to drop, and also trying to live my life and enjoy the things that's happening, and stay creative, and stay working and auditioning, and also stay sane. So with all of those things, I realized that being cringe, well, first of all, being cringy is a part of the process of getting great at everything, because when you start something, even if you have an affinity for it, a talent for it, there's always a learning curve as it pertains to consistency. Because typically when we have like those creative impulses, it's like, yes, you're channeling, you're a vessel of the creative, of the spiritual energy, but as we continue to try to replicate it, given how life changes and goes up and down at different points, it can often affect your consistency. So with that consistency of that output, of that creative output, there's typically going to be some cringe there. And I was telling you earlier in the Bronx Tale episode how uncomfortable being not good at something, being not swaggy, being not together, being dusty, being sad, authentic, like how uncomfortable that was. And when I started, after reading all of the biopics that I've read and just coming up with my own formula for life, I realized that my specific formula, I think we all have different formulas for our purpose. You can find that in somewhere between your gifts, your dreams, and your gifts and your dreams, your gifts and your desires, your talents and your impulses. Somewhere around that is your purpose, is your point. And my purpose and point, the pathway towards my purpose and point, has a lot to do with authenticity and vulnerability, because I believe that I'm on the planet to lead. And when you lead, you have to show what you're doing. Like as a leader, in order for people to follow, you have to show. That's a part of leading. And because of my own specific affinity for vulnerability and for truth and for depth, I know that if I'm shallow and if I'm watered down too much, that is not going to attract my specific kind of people. So I've been doing things all around my life to face cringiness head on. This podcast is one of those things, because there's a lot of thoughts around my personal thoughts around where I should be in life, around dating, around children. I have thoughts and judgments. And so I was like, you know what? Let's put it out there. Let's put it out there. This feels cringy. This feels wild to tell your business. So let's walk straight to it. And so I also recently have been fundraising because my mother's additional monthly medical bills are over nearly $6,000 extra a month. So it has caused some strain, a lot of strain. And so I was sharing that online because I have a really, really strong community online and support system. And I know that's the practice of Cringe. And when a couple of my friends, we were just going back and forth talking about things, talking about how, just the choices. And one of my friends asked, Jizzy, she asked, why, what was your journey in terms of vulnerability, and why are you so, what is the point? Why are you so pressed to be vulnerable consistently? And where did that journey come from? Is this something new of you is this a new way to process your emotions? What's going on? And she definitely didn't say it like that. She's a lot more tactful and sweet. And that's not, so just want to say that. But, in speaking about it and then reliving what we were talking about, I was like, I could share this with the podcast and with my baby so that they could understand the importance and what the whole point is. And I started out when I was younger. I think this is because of my nature. Put a lot of it on nature and nurture. The nature part of it is that as a Capricorn moon, as a person who was born under when the moon was in the sign of Capricorn, when we're talking about the relationship to how that affects me, and my moon is in my 12th house, but I'm not gonna get deep. Okay, so it affects me in the way that Capricorn's focus and kind of like the point is around usefulness and around like success, progress, and usefulness, and that can conflict a lot with emotions because emotions are not centered around usefulness, and the moon governs your emotions. So with my sign being my moon being in Capricorn, the way as a baby, as a child, that I would govern my emotions is firstly as a person, a human being who doesn't really feel like they're necessary, definitely hiding them. So I would process all my emotions by myself. So definitely crying in my pillow, definitely putting on songs and bawling. I love to go and sing when I was sad. Like I would just pick songs and just sing, go to whether that's the roof of my building or the staircase or or the what is that, like the field in Co-op City. I would just go and sing when I was sad. So I've always been emotional. I've always been very sensitive, but it was private. And the first interaction with realizing why I needed to look at the way I was handling my emotions happened early on in dating with my earlier relationships, where we would get into situations and little arguments, little things, and the feedback I would consistently get from men was that I was a brick wall, and that you couldn't tell that I cared, that they didn't feel my heart. And so I was like, oh, okay, so I guess I got to figure out how to share this, because of course my man wouldn't know how I feel. So then I did work. I joined this program called Momentum Education, and it was thousands of dollars that I invested in my personal development and in working relationship with people. And I realized that it was actually trauma that was causing me to emote privately, that it wasn't a choice. Like I used to look at it like, okay, you wear your emotions on your sleeve and I put them on my pillow. And it's like, no girl, you are a human being who wants to live in an interdependent society, and you're a leader. You also want to be a mom, and children learn by watching and listening. So if you continue to emote privately and to not show the only parts of you that you show are the positives, there's going to be an imbalance in how you present yourself and in your perspective. And that's going to have people have a skewed view of you and your kid too. And so at that point, that was in 2014, I believe I finished that program. And in that group, they have you pick kind of 3 core words that will ground you in life that you can refer to. And one of those words were vulnerable. One was trust, be trusting. One was vulnerable, and one was powerful. And vulnerability became my beacon, because I was like, oh, first of all, even to this day, I be thinking I'm sharing mad stuff. And I mean, I know I've gotten better because people are connecting with me. They're sharing. I know I'm getting better, but I be thinking I said mad stuff, and sometimes I'm not saying nothing. And so having that as a beacon has helped me. And my other homie was like, I could see the difference, because I could not imagine crying on the internet. And I'm like, yo, like 5 years ago, 2 years ago, I could not imagine crying on the internet. I could not imagine sharing and spilling my tea, because I'm like, first of all, you look crazy. Secondly, whose business is it? Like, what's the tea? But I was like, when you know what your mission is, like, first of all, one thing that I've learned, and I also learned this in this program, is that secrets and hiding also covers shame. So sometimes it's very difficult to know if you are hiding something because you are protecting it, or hiding something because you are ashamed of it. And when I share things and then I get the response that I get And I mean, I'll say that, okay, when I share things and I get the response that I get validation, and that shame, it just rips off, especially when I hear people who are going through the same thing, or people are like, you know, saying like, girl, that's nothing, like those types of things. It's like, oh, okay, like you are not alone in this, and you're also not as crazy as you think you are. So then my confidence grows, because I am championed, and this thing that I thought was going to have so many people ripping me apart is actually bringing people closer to me if it changes your self-concept. So I was explaining, like, the cringe has actually shifted me to be a more like trusting person, and with that trust in a trusting person, that's also making me trust in the universe, surrender to God, and lean into my faith. So I do feel like cringe is spiritual in that way. And then the other part of it is like, it's worth it to me. The other part of cringe is like, what if people misunderstand me? What if people misperceive me? And one of the things that I said to my homegirl was like, misperception is worth it. Like, if I think about me being who I want to be, which is a household name, a thought leader, a multimillionaire, a happy, fruitful family lady, from mother and wife to extended family member, all of it. I want all of it, and I want all of it at high level. I want success. I want family. I want love. I want a mark. I want community. And so with all of that being said, I'm like, what is it going to take? The reason why a lot of us don't get what we want is because that cringe is like, oh, I'm not doing that. And I'm like, okay, if I have to risk people unfollowing me, risk people like rolling the eyes in the back of their head, being because the funny thing is, the first thing that I be thinking of is people being sad for me. And I don't know why people having pity feels worse than like people being like, thinking I'm like a crazy person or mean, because I'm like, don't you dare pity me. Do you know who I am? I'm Kalila Sharice Black. You don't know me enough to pity me. Like, it just feels like, it just gets me really worked up. And so after I thought, I'm like, okay. And who cares if that person that you met and that knows you from college, or that knows you from that one show you did, or that ship, or that you know, regional theater, or that director, or that casting director, who cares? If you about to get what you came here to get, who cares? Who cares? I'm walking directly towards the cringe. And I want to ask you that too. I want to ask you that. If you knew that what was in between you and your next dream was doing some cringy stuff for a continuous amount of time, I think you would do it. And I learned that that's the key. So I want to share that with you, is that cringe, because cringe, being cringy, I feel like is that discomfort, that secondhand embarrassment. Like, and my secondhand embarrassment be mad big. Like, I used to have a problem watching people perform badly. Like, people think you're probably afraid to get, okay, sorry. Listeners are probably more afraid to stand up and talk on the stage in the same way that I be afraid to listen to like bad performance, because it hurts it cringes my insides up, because I'm just like, oh my gosh, like that sounds crazy, and they're putting their heart into it, and this is their, oh my God, this is their best, we have to be good, we have to be nice. And I'm like, this is a part of it. The other thing that really, really validated this for me was a quote from the Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins, which I'm reading right now. It's a phenomenal book. She said, one of the chapters very early on, she was like, people have bad thoughts about you all the time, like literally all the time. And my heart dropped into my coochie. It dropped down because I was like, what? Like, what? What do you mean people have bad thoughts about me? What do you mean? Like, I'm a good, like, and I'm like, Kalila, even your friends, every single loved one you've ever had has created a thought, one of the thoughts in your mind that was not pleasant. It's a human experience. And so she was saying that to say, let them, like, not be so concerned with managing thoughts, because firstly, you can't manage them, and secondly, they're natural. So then I was like, right. We look at things every single day and I'll have a thought, like, and I've noticed that there'll be some things that I'll have a thought about one time I look at it, and then when I'm in a different mood, I have a different thought about it, which lets you know that even the content of what we're looking at is not controlling how we think about it. It's really fleeting. Our thoughts are very, very, very fleeting. The other thing I want to talk about with cringe is like when we're receiving information through our brain, right? And it's like, don't do that. And I'm like, I have to consistently remind myself of my brain function in order for me to navigate it in a way that serves my life, because your brain will have you doing some very, very safe stuff, because the brain is designed to protect us. The brain is designed to keep us safe. So anytime we're taking a risk, stepping out of our comfort zone, there's going to be some level of that feeling that we also associate with cringe, because that's outside of our comfort zone. What's comfortable to us is typically not cringeworthy. And so when I was like, oh, okay, when I think and I experience that, like, oh my God, this is so weird. Oh my God, I'm like, this is in my brain. I'll step back, and I'm like talking to myself, because the other part of my brain, like the side of me that tries to protect me, I've named her. Her name is Stacy. And I'm like, Stacy girl, listen, Stacy. I know. So like, let's give an example. When I have a desire to post something very vulnerable, and I've completely finished the thing, and I'm ready to write the caption and post, and then it's like, oh my God, these people are going to think that you doing this. These people going to think you begging. These people going to think that you look crazy, and be like, oh my God, Kalila fell off. What's going on? She's failing. And then I'll be like, Kalila, I'll be like, Stacy girl, listen, I know that you are here. These thoughts are trying to protect us. I know that these thoughts are happening because you're afraid of stepping outside of your comfort zone. But I want to remind you, the last time that you posted something very vulnerable, what did they say? And then she responds and she says, you know, they had some good feedback. People said that it was good. People said that you inspired them. You actually received some donations that helped you pay Angelique last time, and this. And so then I'm like, right, okay, Stacey, so we're gonna do this. And even though it's scary because we don't know, and there may be some people that does feel like, Kalila, like, you know, you might get unfollowed, you might trigger people might not want to see that is okay. It's okay, because it's not your job, Kalila or Stacy, hey, either of our jobs to manage how other people feel about us. And that's what the cringe be feeling, because it's like, I want to do this because I'm called to do this, but what if it's not received well? So I wanted to share that, because I think now what I'm trying to embody is the fact that cringe is a spiritual process. And it's also about one more thing. It's about bravery. And I pride myself. I'm a Gryffindor for all of the Harry Potter heads. I'm a very courageous person. I enjoy I enjoy evolving. I enjoy progressing. And I think that in order for you to do either of those things, you have to be brave. So bravery is like a banner that I wear. And so one of the things that I'm really clear about is that it's brave to be cringy. Like, all of the greats, all of the beacons were cringy. They had no's. People said no. They were trash at one time. They started and they were trash. They were legit doo-doo bags. Some people were more doo-doo bags at things that we want to start when they started than we are now. Like, some people were even more doo-doo bags. And that lets me know, like, oh, okay, like, it's not about having to do it well. It's not about that. It's about facing and being brave and facing your fears. So I just want to give you that tidbit of information around cringe, because we're brave. Okay, you come from Kalila Sharice Black. We are doing very, very big things over here. When we came here to this planet, we realized that it's a short time. We got about 100 years. We got about give or take 20, because I would love to live to 111. You know, cute little angel number Zeph. That's cute. Little 111. You got about 100 years to do what we want to do. That means we got to get to it. We have to get to it. And that requires bravery. That requires cringe. That requires honesty. The other part of that is like, cringe, be honest. It be honest, because sometimes you're not feeling polished. Sometimes you're not feeling at your top level, and that's cringe. And I be looking at the followers. Look at your people that have the most followers. Look at the people that you know that you follow. There's stuff that they've done, stuff that they've shared, stuff that they've shown that I know has raised your eyebrow, like, oh my God, they shared that. Wow, that was whoa, why did it? Because it's the formula. What is one thing that I want you to remember? I want you to remember that life has multiple formulas to it. There's multiple things and little energetic systems that are at play that create certain outputs. So for example, the way karma works, the energy that you put out is the energy that you receive, right? When we're talking about energetic currency, when you move forward through fear, like when you move forward directly towards a desire, and face the fear, you have no choice but to evolve. Like you have no choice because you're different. So before you face that fear, right, you had all these thoughts around what would happen if you did that. That's what created the fear. You have all these thoughts. You think about the failure. You think about what could happen. You think about the way people are going to think about you. You think about what if you don't make it? What if you're not able to consider, like those are, and that makes this feeling around it and this action feel so big and so hard and so heavy. And then when you do it and you face it and you, whether the stuff that you feared happened or whether it does or not, that fog of heaviness is automatically dissipated because you faced it. So now you're a different person. You're no longer that person with those fears because you faced it. You've come on the other side. So because we know that that's what happens just naturally in life, like when you face your fears, you progress. A cheat code, the way to excel, when we're talking about how do we win, when we say how do we progress, when we say how do we evolve into our next best person, if we reverse engineer that formula, we'll know that facing our fears expeditiously and like head on is the fastest way to become your next best self. So now I'm chasing the cringe. Now I'm after the vulnerability because I'm after a faster, more progressive and expansive evolution. So whenever you're feeling like, oh my God, I'm scared. Should I do it? Should I not? Should I do it? If you talk to your Stacy and you've got enough evidence and enough reason as to why you should do it, even if the evidence is, I want to do it, Stacy. I want to do it. I've been wanting to do it. It's not bigger than me. We have what it takes. I need you to calm down. That's enough. Face that cringe, because there's something else on the other side of it. Okay. Wow. I'm chatting. The other thing I wanted to say is some gratitude. I just wanted to say that I'm really grateful for this time in my life, because I can feel the growth and the shift, and it's been happening. I've run into people who've known me at different stages of my life, and they're witness and tell me like, oh my God, Kalila, you really, like, you're such a different person. You're so grounded. You're so this, you're so soft, and I'm like, yeah, because I'll be working every morning. I'll be aligning. I'll be reminding myself, learning about what matters. So I'm grateful for the quest. I'm grateful for the knowledge. I'm grateful for this time that we're living in, where there's no excuse to be what you want to be. There's no excuse. And I even mean that from the I mean it from the other side. Like, some people, you might hear me say that there's no excuse because you think I'm saying like life is good, all the possibilities. But I'm saying, like, if we have human beings like Donald Trump shooting their universe shot, like, he's been shooting his shot with the universe. He's been attracting the life that he wants. He's been living his dream. I think I look at him and I look at what he's doing, and that makes me want to do whatever I want to do in my life, because there's no rhyme or reason. Clearly this is not about fairness. This point of us being around and alive, this is not about, if you be a good person, you live a good life, and then you're going to go to heaven. No, get it while you're here. Get to it. People are outside living their lives. Now, to my baby, I want to remind you of your own individual sauce, because once you remember that you are great because you are alive, that you are worth it because you are alive, that you are worthy because you're alive, I think it will shine a light on your ability to face your cringe. Yeah. The other thing that I want to say is, you are the boss of yourself. And you're going to continue hearing me say this, because you are the only person that's inside your body. You are the only person that's connected to your intuition. God is within all of us, but you are the only one that is talking to the God that you are perceiving through your own being. So it's important that you remember that you are the authority. So one way to differentiate between whether or not your intuition is saying do it or not, regardless if it's cringy, is going back to, is sitting somewhere, taking about 5 or 6 deep breaths, closing your eyes, settling your mind, and asking yourself, why do I want to do this? Giving yourself the reasons why you want to, and why you don't want to do it. Look at those 2 reasonings, and I want you to look at it as if one of your best friends or a person that you love was giving you this same list, and I want you to talk to them as a person who believes in that person, and realize which side of the list you should listen to, because you know what is right. Okay, And we have our soul question. Remember, for those of y'all who don't know, we're playing this game at the end of each episode where I got it from this New York Times episode of 36 questions to make you fall in love. And it's a good game to play on a date around like intimacy and just getting to know the person. And I figured it would be so cool to play that with you all. So we are on the 10th question. And I'm very excited for that. Okay, so this one says, take 4 minutes and tell your partner your life story in as much detail as possible. Okay, so we got 4 minutes. Let's do it. I was born in Hawaii, premature, 3 pounds 9 ounces, to a mom who was from the Bronx, and a father who was from Los Angeles. They met, married, had me. They divorced 18 months later. They both left the military. I moved back with my mom in New York. My father went back to his hometown in Los Angeles. I was raised in New York from 18 months. I then was, raised in the Bronx. I spent some time doing a lot of things. There was a very, very different stuff happening in my life. On one end of my life, I was experiencing a lot of validation and joy and affirmation because I was put in the gifted program, and I was excelling. I got a childhood agent. I had a lot of friends. At the same time, I was living with a mom who was battling an addiction, of an avid addiction. And though that was making its way through my childhood in very different ways. So that was a trauma that I was living with. Then I decided to turn my back on academia and focus on theater. I went to the Fame School. I then decided to get my BFA in college. I got that, and then I was also able to star in many productions there at school and even in North Carolina. Then after that, I graduated with honors on my birthday. On my birthday, May 7th, shouts out 2011. We all graduated on my birthday. And then I went abroad, and I began a post-college career of cover band singing, cruise ships, theme parks, regional theaters, dinner theater, children's theater, Broadway. I made my Broadway debut. I manifested my dream gig. I set my sights on The Lion King, and then I got it. Made my Broadway debut by 30. I think I was 27. That was a large goal of mine. I also, what else? That's the career part. I have a business. I'm a coach. I coach children. I became a caregiver about four years ago. About 4 years ago, my mom suffered a paralyzing stroke. So I not only am a full-time artist, actor, creative, content creator, coach, all of that. I'm a full-time caregiver. We got 1 more minute left. What else? I'm also dating, looking for love. I have a podcast, a lovely podcast called How I Became Your Mother podcast, where I'm actually talking to my future child from the perspective of me leading up to creating her, me leading up to meeting her father, leading up to getting married and conceiving. So that's what we're going on, this journey of a nice little personal vlog while we're going to mix in some childhood stuff. And I just want y'all to, rock with me. Well, I did that in under 4 minutes. My life was fast. Oh, I'll give you another thing. My name means friend. It's derived, it's Kalila, but it's derived from Khalil, and that means friend. And that is, they say what you are is what your name is, what you are. And I definitely feel like that's a big part of my personality because I have a network. I have a lot of friends. I care about people. I'm a connector, and I've maintained friendships for years, and really develop and prioritize community very, very much. All right. Wow. Okay. That was a come back episode, right? I hope y'all were following me. I hope all of y'all was following me. Yeah, so that was my episode. To my baby, I love you. Thank you for listening. And thank you for riding with your mom through this. Can't wait to meet you. Can't wait to have you. Can't wait to meet you. All those things. And you, the listener, can you, if you're enjoying this, can you either shout me a DM, text message, please rate it, send me a review. It feels really validating to hear that I'm doing well, that you're resonating. It lets me know that people are listening and that I should keep going. And I really want that accountability. So if you could do that for me, that would be great. Okay. And to you again, my love, whenever you hear this, just know I was thinking of you. I was learning, growing, and preparing a world for you to thrive in. Can't wait to see who you become. Later.